Good morning. How's everybody doing today? So today is the 19th of September. It's a Thursday. And we are in Savannah, Georgia area, and we are going to go out to a fort, which is a National Historic Site. And we're going to go to Tybee Island today. So we should have some good fun things to show y'all. The trees are so cool with the moss hanging out. And of course, I love palm trees. So I was wrong earlier when I said we were going to a National Historic Site. We're actually going to a national monument. It's the Fort Pulaski National Monument, and we got to turn left right up here, and it'll take us out to a little island where it is. I want to show you guys the marshy land here. Something about this fort. Get a stamp.
I think it's the year of forts. How many forts have we been to this year?
A lot.
And we're going to be going to another one.
Right. Okay, so we went to the fort in San Juan.
Yeah.
And we went to the fort on the coast, the Gulf Shore coast.
We went to, well, that was last year. Went to Fort Laramie last year.
Yes. I feel like we did another fort.
I feel like we did too.
We'll have to think about it. We'll get back to you guys. So that's the artillery shell that changed the history and the chances of this fort withstanding the battle between the North and the South. So this fort has some significance. In 1862, the Union was trying to overtake the fort then held by the Confederates. And it was blocking their access to Georgia and their process of going further south to overtake other forts. So there was a 30-hour battle in which the Union damaged, I think it was the southeast corner of the building significantly, and the guy who was in charge of the fort at the time realized that there was a good chance that they would be able to hit their 40,000 pounds of gunpowder, and that would destroy the fort and kill everybody in it. And so he made the conscious decision to surrender, which gave the Union access to the entire Georgia area. It also was the guy who overtook it made a proclamation that black people would be free and that they could enlist in the army. Now, this was before Lincoln was ready to do that, and so he overturned it, but a year later he made the Emancipation Proclamation. So this has a lot of significance. As I mentioned before, in 1862, when the Union forces took back Fort Pulaski, it opened the door of freedom for slaves in this area. Families would flee to here, and there was a gentleman who helped bring several families and enslaved peoples to this location, and that made this part of the Underground Railroad system. So this mound of dirt is known as a demi-lune, which is French for half moon, and it protected the fort's entrance. During the Civil War, the demi-lune wall was about waist high with gun platforms on the flat top. After the Civil War, while it was still a military post, Army engineers constructed earthen mounds to hold powder magazines. Here's a picture of kind of what it looked like before and after. So as you can see, that's a drawbridge. There's the chains that would help draw it up. We did just see a fish jump in the canal there too, in the moat.
I ain't been walking very long.
Dana's stumbling around over here. All right, let's go in. So I'm going to assume that goes into one of those little places where they got guns in there.
The magazine.
The magazine, that's it. Good job, Dana. I don't know how I'd get through this without her. She remembers all the words I forget. So look, one of the doors is open. Let's go see what it looked like inside. Wow, there's a whole little underground passageway system here. Okay. Where does this bring us at? In the middle of it? It does. There's another passageway there. We better stay in the passageway we were in. We're gonna get ourselves lost in this mess. Go back down in here, see the rest of this one. I don't want to start going through wormholes and not find our way around. We can get lost in a city with GPS. Can you imagine what we can do underground in tunnels? And there's a little cubby. Something was surely stored in there. There's the latch. I don't know if we're supposed to even be in here. Oh, sure enough. You guys see it? It's what they used to make the walls. Wow. This is pretty cool. Oh, look, that little room goes in the beginning. Oh, sure does. Look, Dana found the other side, the little air circulation. It probably is. Can you imagine how stuffy it would get down in here? And there's just, we're at the end. They must have stored stuff in here. Look, guys, more shells on the floor, too. Kind of thing, okay. All right, let's go see what. All right, we have another drawbridge coming up. I mean, just go give her a little push. It's not the nicest, cleanest water we've ever seen. Oh, guys, there was another fishy. There's another one. There's fish in it. That's for sure. Oh, I can see him. There's fish right there.
Oh, there you go. Oh, they're big.
They are big. Oh, wow. This is cool. So that gate would have come down. Those doors would have been able to close. those doors would have been able to close. I can see why they felt safe in here. They ask you not to climb on stuff. All right, we are inside the fort. Show you guys what it's all about real quick. So that's a cistern. There were 10 of them around the place, and they held 200,000 gallons of fresh water. So in the late 1800s, the Cockspur Island lighthouse keeper resided inside the fort, and he planted a grove of fig trees. And this is, in fact, part of the grove of fig trees that were planted here back in the late 1800s. So Colonel Olmsted was in charge of the fort for about a month before the Union came in and overtook it. And this was his quarters and surrender room.
He was 25.
Yes, very young. See the bed over there? So after the surrender, the Confederates were rounded up and sent to a war camp in New York, and then eventually a camp in Ohio. And after 6 months, there was a prisoner swap, and many of them were returned to war. So Colonel Olmsted did actually survive the war and was able to return to his wife and children in Savannah. So this area was used as a shell magazine. This was the Southwest magazine area. So Fort Pulaski took 18 years to build, from 1829 to 1847. Millions of bricks were used in the construction. That's a paw print from a dog in the 1800s that would have stepped on that brick before it was cured. All right, there's the lighthouse. Here's the view. Those trees have seen a hurricane or two come in. Let's see. Dana pointed out, and you guys might be interested in knowing, the drainage passageways you see over here, those were all put in by Robert E. Lee. He spent some time here fortifying this, and he put in the drainage systems. So most of the floor was wood like this. But then underneath was a series of storage and passages. When they built this fort, they jammed massive pilings down into the marshy land beneath us. And as a result of the way that they did this, there are no cracks in the walls of this fort after like 150 years. That's pretty crazy. Our houses in Oklahoma built on solid land have cracks in them, and they ain't nowhere near that old. So this is probably one of the oldest pictures ever recorded of somebody playing the game of baseball. So this room was used to store food and other goods, but there were also 8 Confederate soldiers held in here at one time after the Union took over, and they made a break for it. They dug a hole underneath the floorboards, a small one, and they escaped. However, they were found and brought back. So when the fig was planted, so was the pecan tree. So that's original too. So I think this is the corner that the Unions were able to penetrate and damage the fort on. And so it took, what did it say, federal troops 6 weeks to repair the battle damage. And this remained a Union outpost from that day forward. This feels similar to one of the other forts we recently went to. Is it Fort Pickens? This is obviously prison bunks, I would say, since there's bars on everything and bunk beds.
There were also cannons in here at one point.
At one point, yeah.
Two men per bunk.
At least, if not 3. If they were doing 2, that's pretty luxurious. That's like a huge bed compared to a lot of beds back then.
That's what I'm saying. There were 2 of them.
Okay, thank you. I made her move so you guys could quit looking at her head or her butt at all times. That's a pretty cool shot. Dana. So that was done as an attempt to try to protect the fort before the battle, the 30-hour battle started. If you come here, bring your bug spray. The mosquitoes are thick. I failed to bring our bug spray on this trip. It's in the van. Enlisted men's barracks. This would be commanding officers' quarters. It says that Colonel Brown's wife added a woman's touch by acquiring confiscated furniture from homes in Bluffton, South Carolina, and making it a little bit more frilly. The infirmary. Says of 620,000 soldiers who died during the American Civil War, 2/3 of them were caused by disease. We had little to no knowledge of germs during that time, along with the fact that many diseases simply were not treated as they would be today. Sanitary conditions were not always a priority, but the Civil War did, however, become a turning point in medicine. The officers' mess hall. These are some of the officers' quarters. There were 385 troops when the Confederates were here to over 1,000 when the Union first took over. They slept anywhere they could. So this was the quartermasters. They played an important role in keeping the fort running smoothly. He kept track of and issued military equipment. Throughout this room, you can see various objects that were necessary in operating Fort Pulaski. Some are simple. Lanterns were used to light casemates, rooms, and other dark places because there was no electricity. Others are more confusing. The red and white flags you may spot off to the side were used for signaling other troops. And with the help of binoculars and spyglasses, they could be seen as far downriver as Fort Jackson. The most prominent objects, however, have to do with cannons. It takes a lot of equipment to operate a cannon. These fish are crazy, watch.
They know you're recording now. Of course. Oh, she's got the camera out.
Everybody be quiet. We are here at Tybee Island. This is the public parking, but guess what, guys? No RVs or camper vans allowed. We had to park way over there. We got lucky because there was parking over there. And you pay at the pay station and display your little tag. Watch for rip currents. This is the Atlantic side, so you do have to be more aware. Do not go out to the sandbar. Stay off the sand dunes. No smoking or vaping. Leave only your footprints. All right. Let's have a looky-loo what we got going on here. Okay, if we're gonna stay out here, we definitely want to bring our umbrella for sure, and a chair for Dana. Okay. I think we could use a few hours on the beach myself. It's a nice hot day. I can go walk in the surf. Dana can rest. Let's do it. The tide is making its way back in. It's starting to come up, but I wanted to show you guys this before. Isn't that cool? Tide is definitely coming back in. It wasn't coming up near that far a little while ago. There are lots of parks in Savannah. They call them squares. This one is called Reynolds Square. And we are going to dinner at the Old Pink House, which is an old mansion here in Savannah where they do dinner now. Look at that tree. So the Old Pink House is one of the oldest houses in Savannah, Georgia. It was built, I believe, in 1771, and in 1796 there was massive fires. It burned over 200 houses here, and this one survived the fires. So I think that's why it's the oldest. And tonight we're having dinner inside. Our reservations are at 8, and we are a little bit early because it is hard to find parking. So we had a little bit of time to kill while we waited for our table, so we walked around and enjoyed this gorgeous sunset. The buildings were beautiful, but the sunset really stole the show. We couldn't have asked for a better night to be in Savannah, Georgia. This place was absolutely beautiful, and the food was delicious. Every bite was wonderful. If you ever find yourself in Savannah, Georgia, go check out Fort Pulaski and make sure to make dinner reservations at the Pink House. You won't regret it. It was an absolute delight. You guys take care, stay healthy, and we'll see you down the road.